materials, what are the methodology which can be adopted for collecting the research materials when a person is doing research based upon the text. So we had discussed in Pali language literature, then Sanskrit Buddhist literature, Tibetan and Chinese literatures we have discussed. Today we are going to discuss another method of collecting the research materials, Samagri Sankalan, that is called as sampling method or survey method. We'll discuss in a very brief manner that what are the methods through which a person can select the research materials related with his or her research work. So let us have PPT. So this is the sampling process. The materials related with our sampling, the method through which there is no possibility to evaluate or to have a statistical data, then how the sampling with the method of the sampling, a person can collect the research materials. So see that this is the sampling process or sampling method of collecting the research materials. So here there are the survey goals, and it is also called as a survey method. Generally, it is based upon the sociological or anthropological or demographical or geographical study when a person is interested to do research on these aspects, that is the logical to make estimate of all the populations, but through the method of the survey or through the method of the sampling, a person can have some of the results of the research problems related with the these are the methods: instrument development, sampling decisions, data collections, and data editing and processing. So there are 4 stages through which we can make a method of sampling or the survey methods. So let us have, first of all, let us discuss that what is the sampling method, what are the types of the sampling methods, how we can proceed for the sampling method. So here we are mainly concerned with the sampling decisions, that is the sampling method, as well as collecting the research materials based upon that. And then lastly, a research scholar, that how he has to link the materials after collecting the sampling, after the outcomes or the fruits of the sampling method or the data. So here, let us have that how we can proceed for the sampling method or the survey method. If you are going to do sampling method or the survey method, first of all, the question arises populations, that how a research scholar can select one of the portion of the whole populations. It is not possible to make a whole population statistical data. So here entire set of subjects of individuals of interest for the study is called as populations. So let us discuss what is the objective to study of entire populations. Kindly unmute yourself. Okay. So a target population is the group defined by the researcher's specific interest. So suppose it is not possible to have the entire population, but a portion of that, suppose Lumbini proportion or Uttar Pradesh, it is in Uttar Pradesh is very big estate, it is not possible to make the whole populations, but a portion, a district or a village, or even in village, there are some of the families out of the one village, 15 families or the 20 families can be selected for survey method or statistical data. It is not possible to make a judgment of the only 15 families of a village. It is also supposed to have another 15 families of the same village in another area. Then making together or making grouping of these findings, a person can have some findings that what are the results. So here, this in practice, however, accessible population alone may be studied from which sample may be drawn. The main problem is that how we can access the villages or the district or the state. It depends that how the persons can approach to the public, how many time he can devote for that, what is the duration for the accessing. So he has to select that how many portions of the that entire village or how many families can be selected for the making a sampling method or the survey method. So let's see the whole population is the main cycle, which is big. Again, the target, this is our called as the target populations. Then accessible populations that inside. Suppose there is a state and there is the whole target is the whole state of any country, then accessible populations, then the sampling out of that village, only the selected 15 people, the families, or the 20 families or 25 families can be selected. This is called as sampling, sample. And based upon the findings of that, and it is not possible to make a judgment as a true in the sense that the other portions in the north side or the south side, there may be another culture or the traditions or the our clothage and other things. So based upon that, it is needed that in other side also there must be sampling of that. So let us see that what is the need of the sampling, why a person make a survey method or the sampling method. What is the need of that? Why researcher is supposed to do? In the field of Buddhist studies also, there are some of the researches which are based upon the survey method. Suppose a person who is doing research on the that status of neo Buddhist in Maharashtra. Suppose Maharashtra is a very big state, and it is not possible to make a state make a survey of whole districts of Maharashtra. So he has to select some of the things. He has to select some of the districts of villages of the district. Then he can make some of the findings of that. So here there is a need of conducting census or study of the whole population is not feasible. Availability of limited resources for the study. So there are lack of the resources also to have the whole study of that. So in that way, we need to have some sampling or survey method. There is also problem that we cannot have a wide coverage of all the research of the districts of the state or even district also. So to minimize the error in data collections and processing, there is a need of sampling. So destructive testing is necessary in certain strategies. So that there are some of the methods through which we can validate or or no. So this method, that is why a researcher is doing survey method or sampling method. So here sample, how can we define that what is sample? Even if you go to the laboratory for the medical institutions and other things, even chemistry, there are labs also. Some of the samples, even the blood cells are taken for testing. So actually, whatever, these are samples through which person these are the so there are three types of sample. Representative sample is a sample with the same characteristics as the population. So here the population is all, and that is called as a representative. And so next is a biased sample is a sample with different characteristics from those of the population. So biased means a person, a research scholar, is already has taken some of the hypotheses related with the objective of research, and this type of sampling is called as biased sample with different characteristics from those of the populations. Yeah. Out of the populations, there are families which have not similar characteristics. They are having the different characteristics. So there will be findings in a different manners also, not the same one. Then the third is the selections bias or sampling bias. So here it is when subjects are selected in a manner that increases the probability of obtaining a biased sample. So this is that whenever a persons with having the already biased findings in his mind or hypothesis, and then the subjects or the families are selected, this is called as sampling bias. So suppose this is our population. If you see, so out of the populations, if a person who is doing, so there are four samples. So suppose a person who is making a study of any family of the persons. So suppose there is a district, out of the district there are villages. So in villages, he is making a sample of the four portions. So if you see, there are four: sample one, sample two, sample three, sample four. The colors designate the that what are the samples, and based upon the findings of that, a person proceeds for that. So this is the sampling method. So there is another sample which is the five also, which are designated here. Now, how the theories or the concepts which are related with our sampling? So there are three types of sampling of validity, which obtained from sample could be interpreted in terms of probability. So here there is no any sense of biasness. There is a probability of accuracy as well as there is a pinpointed or precise of the estimates of the findings. The second is the principle of statistical regularity. So any randomly selected sample element should possess the characteristics of the population. So even if you go to the laboratory for blood sample and even for the sugar test, which are taken for randomly. So whenever any random, the selected portions are being taken for the suppose sampling method, and it must possess the characteristics of the populations. So there are some of the things that how we can say this is the populations, it comes under the demography. So is optimization, that it is in the sense of achieving level of efficiency with the minimum possible resources. So this is the third of our the theory related to the sampling. Let us discuss one by one. So what are the steps in the sampling survey method? So if you see, first of all, there must be objective. Even any research, if a researcher is supposed to start, there must be objective aims and objectives that what is the main objective of the doing research. So here in the sampling method also, there must be objectives that there is a general objective is that I am doing my research for the sake of advancement of the knowledge or in a field. So here, what are the main aims and objectives? So what are the things which have been already done by other scholars, and what new things you are having in your mind? So with the objectives and the aims you are going to do with the sampling method. Again, the second step is definition of the population to be studied. So there is another discipline for study related with population studies. There is a subject also which is being taught in some of the universities of India and other also. They are also called as demographic studies. How these demographic studies can be studied? What are the things which are related with the migration of the people, how the population say increases. So these are must be clear to the researcher that when he is going to do related with the populations or the survey method. Then determination of sampling frame, listing of all the elements. So a research scholar must be determined of there must be what are the things related with the sampling we'll discuss there, and what are the elements we'll also discuss related with this. Then determination of sample size. A person must be that how many families, village or the district, how is going to make a study of that by the survey or so he should uh, decide that what will be the size is supposed to complete his research within year. So in that he has decision that will be the size of the populations, because bigger area it will be difficult to make the findings within the specific period. Then sampling, the selections of the sampling method. What type of method we have discussed? There are three: biasness, undetermined sampling. So what type of sampling method you are going to select it. Then sample selection and field work. These are two aspects related with the steps. You have to select how many villages, which portions, north, south, east, or west, you are going to select, and then how the field work related with that you can start for that. And you must be also very much alert related with the weaknesses and the errors which are coming in the sampling method or the survey method, because sometimes statistical are not correct, or even the blood test and other things, they are sometimes not correct also. In the same manner, here there is a probability of errors also in finding the result through the survey method. More of the our that is the selection of sampling method. So how he is going to make that it should be complete, it should be accurate, it should be up to date, and it should be adequate. So this is the that through a structure, a research scholar is planning to make a statistical data or sampling method or survey method. So this frame or structure of the sampling method must be complete, must be accurate, must be up to date, and must be adequate also. Further, it is not accurate or complete or up to date in the case of voters also, because sometimes the list of the voters are not correct. Even some of the names of the persons are being deleted from the list of the voters also at the time of elections. So we cannot make the list of the voters as well as telephone directory. If you go through the telephone directory, there are names of those persons who have passed away 20 years or 30 years ago also, but names are still in the telephone directory. So we cannot take decisions or sampling method based upon the list of voters or the ration card also. There are so many bogus ration card also which are being issued by the municipalities of the district or the state also. So these are not the method of our sampling. The list of the voters, ration card, and the telephone directory. So a research scholar should not be dependent on these type, because they are not going to give up to date or accurate or adequate findings of the sampling method. So how a person can start the things? So there are some of the criteria which are listed here. So through that, a person can get at least 95% accuracy in the findings of survey method or the sampling method. So this is the chart. If you go, level of confidence, like 95%, use corresponding Z value from the normal distribution table. So here, standard deviations or proportions, P of occurrence or obtained from the say A pilot study and the permitted error E. So see, there are only probability of 5% error here. So this sample size is determined by N. So here, if you go through that, you will see that how the P or N, P shows the proportions, S shows the standard deviations, and Z is the our value which makes the result. So this is the n is equal to ZS pi E square, or n is equal to Z. So this is the we can make through this the selections of our size of the populations. Through this we can make a determinations, or we can make a selections also, that how the size of the population can be selected. Example has been given. You can see that how the examples, through this example you can also make that how those persons who are interested for sampling method or survey method, how he can make. So this is the criteria. The sample size is called as n, to test whether 60% of the group of the population of 4,000 people would attend the election campaign meeting with the marginal error E. Error is E of 5%, and with 90%, 95% of confidence coefficient Z taken from the normal distribution table is. So this is the table. If you see that n is equal to Z square P 1 minus P, then E square. Then this is the criteria through which, so this is another a discipline, that is the population study or survey method. But the table has been given to make a study of that. So related with that, at the time of, even in India, you might have heard that how the political parties are making that how many people are going to cast in favor of which party. So there are so many persons who are making statistical data on the basis of this sampling method or the survey method. So they have their equations. They sometimes it becomes very accurate, and sometimes it does not come accuracy. So these are some of the things which can be. So here sampling error, if in this sampling method or survey method, a research is called, there is a probability of 5% error also. And why this difference between the value of the actual population parameter like mean and the sample mean statistic, it can be minimized by increasing the sample size. That is why it is said that if you are within 20 or 25 one area, you also select of the same village of the another portion of the 15 or 20%, then there can be more accuracy of that. So what is the non-sampling error? That is the non-response or refusal or lost in transit, biased observations, and processing lapses. So just opposite of sampling error, there are non-sampling error also, because sometimes there is a refusal, non-response of the people, or sometimes if a researcher is biased, it has already taken in mind that this 15 or 20 families are having this type of observations, then this is called as biased observations. And then processing lapses. There may be that the technique or the tools or the research labs through which you are making, there is a probability of error also. So techniques are available to estimate the impact of these errors also. Again, this sampling error has been defined, that what is the sampling error and what is the accuracy. So sampling error is inaccuracy from the use of a sample. Then accuracy is the proportional to the square root of the sample size. So this is, we can see. So here there is a statistical data that error versus size at 9%, 95% confidence levels. So here there is a probability of our so C example has been given. So here a random test of the six related with the wage asked. So test been taken of 600 people who were in 5% say they are the supporters. Among the protesters, there are 45% who are supporters. So according to this table, you can be sure that at 95% confidence levels, support of the total population will be between 41% and 49%. So this is the, suppose there are 600 people, when it is taken, then there is a total population can be selected for sampling. This is the 41 and 49%. So this is the accuracy you have to make out of 600. So there is a probability of error only 4%. So this is the our statistical data which has been prepared when a person who is making sampling method or survey method. So suppose there is a statistic which has been given in this slide. If you go through that, how there is a general population which has been given through the red square, and then working population which has been designated in the blue, and then sampling frame. Here a researcher is making his plan to that how the sampling frame, he takes the random sampling or 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 the 15 families like that. He makes the random. Then the result, whatever the comes, these are called as a data collections. Based upon that, there is a sampling statistics, and through this there are inference which can be drawn, and this is called as a statistical inference. Then a person can make a study that what type of he is going to make. So this is the process through which survey method or the sampling method can be done. Again, there are types of sampling. Let us discuss in a brief manner that what are the divisions which have been taken in the types. So there are two types of mainly sampling: probability sampling and non-probability sampling. Probability means there is a probability of our good accuracy. Non-probability means there is no probability of accuracy of the method, sampling method or survey method. So see, under the probability sampling, there is a simple random, systematic, stratified, we are mainly concerned here because one the multi-phase successive, and these are mainly for useful longitudinal study. We'll discuss that what is the longitudinal. But here, if you go through the simple random, that you select any family of the So we are discussing about the types of sampling. I am audible?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Hmm. Yes, yes. So there is a problem of Wi-Fi and internet also. So we are discussing about probability sampling, that's simple random, and there is a systematic plan of the survey or sampling method. So we'll discuss one by one, and then again we'll make more emphasis on the multi-phase, successive, and sequential because these three are related with our discipline of Buddhist studies. That when a person who is interested for making survey method or the sampling method through our in the discipline of the Buddhist study. So we'll discuss in a different slides. Then non-probability sampling, that it is a convenience, judgment, quota, snowball, theoretical. So there are five things which are coming under the non-probability sampling. Then concentration principles that focus the sampling on the cases which are particularly important for the study issue. So in the aims and objectives of the research, what you have already in your mind and you have selected for that, you have to concentrate for that. So here, simple rendering, we are discussing that what is the simple random or systematic or stratified random. Let us have that simple random sampling. Here, each element or unit in the entire population has an equal chance of selection. So here, the whole entire population of a society or village or the district, they have equal chance of the selections. There should not be any biasness to selection of the. How it can be selected here, simple learning, that use the following means to pick up the sample unit till the desired number of units are selected. So there are random number tables here also and lottery system also. So you can see that how this diagram which has been taken. So in the all directions, the people have been selected for that. So it is simple to implement, but it is time consuming and laborious when the sample size is large. So when the village or the district is very large, it is time consuming also, or it is very laborious also. So see here, there are some of the data which have been given that how we can make a random test or random sampling. And through this table, a person can make evaluation or analysis of that also. So here there is a research randomizer which has been selected by the Springer. So you can see that random sampling and random assignment have been never been easier. So it is very difficult also to make a very accuracy of this sampling method or the survey method, because sometimes even one person is being left by the researcher, then the effect of that or impact of that our findings will be different also. So it is not very easier also. The site is designed for researchers and the students who want a quick way or to generate random numbers or assign participants to experimental conditions. So research randomizer can be used in a widely variety of situations, including psychology experiments, medical trials, and survey research. This program uses a JavaScript random number generator to produce customized sets of random numbers. So here it is given by our. So this is the how a person can. So site overview, then quick tutorials, then the related links have been given, then about research randomizer. So these are given on the websites also. When anyone who is more interested to do research, he can go through these sites also, and he can mm, make a deeper study of that also. We are discussing random sampling. There is another systematic sampling. What is sampling? That here the first unit is selected randomly, but thereafter the units are selected according to a systematic plan. So suppose in a village, if person starts to do survey method, or say he selects any random family, or the after that he has to make a systematic plan that how he has to select the families and other things also. So systematic sampling will be more precise only if units within the sample are heterogeneous. So this is our it is more specific systematic sampling. It is simple in operation, but should be used with caution for the population with periodicity. So time to time, it must be operated systematic. So there is an example here. If you have 500 people and we want a sample of 50 people, then the sampling interval is 500 to 50, that is the 10. So this is the interval. Thus, select a random integer from 1 to 10. Say it is 4, then sampling unit will be 4, 14, 24, and so on till 500 to get 50 units. So this is the method of the systematic sampling, that how a researcher can do sampling method related with our systematic plan. Then third, we are discussing stratified random sampling. What is the stratified random sampling? That here selection method. The population is divided in non-overlapping homogeneous groups called strata. Strata, if you go through the diagram, it is given here that there are people who are speaking English, who are speaking Gujarati, who are speaking Marathi, they are Hindu. So these are the people who are newspaper readers of a family like this. So this is called as a strata. So you are making a selection. So here the black portions of the circles. So this is called as a stratified random sampling. So through this data, you can this diagram, you can understand that what does stratified random sampling means. So this is the, and it provides a better cross section of the population and brings a more precision in the estimate. So this is another, you can say, a stratified random sampling. Again, in stratified random sampling, what are the fractions which comes as a error? So this, there is a example we can understand in a very brief manner, that how the a desired number of the students or the teachers or the persons who are in the village, how they are selected and how the persons can be defined. So see here, let us survey 200 students from a college with a stream-wise distribution of students as 500 commerce, 200 arts, and 100 science. So total there are 800 students in a college. So what is the stratified fraction? How a person's make our this sampling method. So see here, there is a chart here given, commerce, arts, science, and there are 800. So there is a proportion sample that is the stratified fraction 1/4. So out of commerce 500, it becomes 125. And for arts, there are 200 students, it becomes 50. Science, 25. So total, there are 200 students. Strata-wise fractions, that is the for commerce 0.625, arts 0.25, science 0.125, and total there is 1. And then disproportionate sample 312 for the commerce, 50 for arts, total 37. So sample average percentage of marks, that is 52 for the commerce, 46 arts,